imagine welcoming this new life into your family, you know, your daughter, full of this vibrant energy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, your father's kind of slowly slipping away.
Yeah.
His memory's fading with each passing day. This is the situation that Rabbi Jizky Ravel faced.
Yeah.
And that's what our deep dive is going to be focused on today.
It's a story about navigating the emotional and spiritual roller coaster of Alzheimer's. And you shared some incredible materials with us, by the way.
Right.
Rabbi Jizky's personal story, Close Encounters of the Alzheimer's Kind.
Yeah.
And insights into his Miracle in the Heart program.
Yeah, it's about so much more than just the clinical side of Alzheimer's.
Right.
And so I really want to jump into the rabbi's own journey.
Okay.
Because like having a baby
Yeah.
and then dealing with a parent's Alzheimer's diagnosis
At the same time.
Yeah. Talk about conflicting emotions.
Absolutely. And in his book, Rabbi Jizky, he doesn't shy away from those raw, heartbreaking moments. He really describes the feeling of his world turning upside down, experiencing joy, new life, but also grappling with the decline of his own father.
And it's like he was becoming a father as his own father regressed.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was like witnessing life's cycle, but in reverse.
Precisely. And it was in those moments of profound emotional dissonance, I think, that he started to see his father's Alzheimer's through this different lens, right?
Okay.
Not just as this tragic loss, but as a transition into a different state of being.
Yeah. And that perspective shift, was that fueled by his faith and his studies in Kabbalah?
Absolutely.
And I think for those who are unfamiliar listening, Kabbalah is a mystical tradition within Judaism.
Yes.
And I just think it's so fascinating how he connects these ancient teachings to a very human experience, like the experience of Alzheimer's.
It's this incredible blend of ancient wisdom and modern understanding. He started to view his father's Alzheimer's not as an ending,
Right.
but as kind of a doorway
Yeah.
to a different kind of existence.
But that's where I think those close encounters come into play, right?
Yes.
It's these everyday moments that take on this new meaning
Right.
through his evolving perspective. And I'm thinking about the story that he tells about his father becoming overly friendly with strangers.
Yes.
But he was struggling to recognize his own wife.
It's heartbreaking and strangely humorous at the same time.
Yeah.
The rabbi describes it as his father kind of experiencing this childlike openness, this pure, unfiltered engagement with the present moment, you know?
But there had to be times when that disconnect was like incredibly painful.
Of course, yeah.
Even with this new understanding.
He talks about the frustration of communication breakdowns, the feeling of being shut out,
Right.
even when you know it's the disease and not your loved one that's creating that distance, you know?
So how did he navigate those feelings of helplessness, that desire to like fix things, you know, to get through to his father?
He realized that sometimes the most meaningful connection comes from just being there,
Yeah.
even when words fail.
Right.
It's about shifting from a place of trying to change the situation to a place of acceptance and presence.
And that's such a powerful message for anyone, I think, who's dealing with a loved one with Alzheimer's.
Right.
And it seems like that realization was the seed that blossomed into his Miracle in the Heart program. This 8-week program that's designed specifically for families grappling with this disease.
It's about empowering families to navigate not just, you know, the practical challenges of Alzheimer's, but the emotional and spiritual ones as well.
Yeah, it's like a toolbox, but instead of hammers and nails, it's filled with like techniques for communicating with someone who has lost their words and like practices for finding your own inner strength
Right.
in the midst of all this chaos.
Exactly.
So let's explore that a little bit. Let's get inside this program. Now, it's structured around 8 core modules,
Yes.
each addressing a different aspect of the Alzheimer's experience.
Right.
What struck me is how each one seems to go beyond just the practical.
Okay.
And it's more about offering families a new lens to view this challenging journey.
You're right. He doesn't just focus on things like this is what the disease is or this is how you manage difficult behaviors. Although those are covered. He delves into these deeper themes like finding meaning in the midst of loss,
Right.
transforming pain into love, and connecting with your own inner resilience.
So it's about meeting families where they are,
Yes.
acknowledging the very real challenges,
Right.
but also offering this new way to approach them.
Precisely. He understands that Alzheimer's is as much an emotional and spiritual journey as it is a physical one.
And he's not afraid to weave in those spiritual aspects, drawing on his background in Kabbalah. I mean, an astro-Kabbalistic natal chart analysis?
Yeah.
That's intriguing.
That definitely caught my eye as well.
Yeah.
It seems like this analysis delves into the deeper spiritual purpose behind both the caregiver and the patient's experience.
Wow. So not just saying, like, this is happening, but asking, why is this happening?
Right.
What can we learn from this?
Yes.
And how can we find meaning in it?
Yes. And that leads us to one of the most thought-provoking aspects of his work. The idea of Alzheimer's as a form of spiritual mastery.
That's a pretty radical concept.
Yeah.
I mean, how can a disease that robs people of their memories and independence be seen as a form of mastery?
It goes back to that idea of shifting perspectives, of seeing beyond the surface. Rabbi Jizky connects this to the Kabbalistic concept of yesh me'ayin, which essentially means continuous creation from nothing.
Okay, break that down for me a little further. What does that have to do with Alzheimer's?
Imagine experiencing each moment as entirely new, unburdened by past regrets or anxieties about the future?
Right.
Rabbi Jizky suggests that, in a way, people with Alzheimer's are living in a constant state of yesh me'ayin.
So they're experiencing each moment with a sense of wonder and newness that, those of us who were caught up in the past or future rarely achieve.
Exactly. And he's not minimizing the very real suffering and challenges of Alzheimer's.
Right.
But he is inviting us to consider the possibility that there's a hidden beauty, a kind of spiritual depth in this experience that we might not full grasp.
Yeah, it makes you think differently about how we define a life well lived.
Absolutely.
What stands out to you as we kind of delve deeper into this perspective shift?
For me, it's the invitation to reframe how we view not just Alzheimer's, but aging and cognitive decline in general. It's a challenge to our kind of westernized fear of aging and our obsession with productivity and cognitive function.
It's fascinating. It's like he's asking us to confront our own mortality.
Yes.
And our deeply ingrained ideas about what it means to live a meaningful life.
Absolutely. And that's where the real power of his work lies.
It's a powerful reminder that meaning and purpose, it can be found in these unexpected places, even in the face of a disease that seems to strip those things away from us,
It's about looking beyond the surface, beyond the symptoms, and recognizing that inherent dignity and worth of every individual, regardless of their cognitive abilities.
And that brings us back to the Miracle in the Heart program.
Okay.
How does Rabbi Jizky take these profound, these radical ideas even, and make them accessible, practical and hopeful for families who are facing the day-to-day realities of Alzheimer's?
That's where his genius lies, really. He doesn't just present these concepts in a vacuum.
Right.
He embeds them within this 8-week program, providing families with these tangible tools and strategies that are grounded in both ancient wisdom and modern therapeutic techniques.
So walk us through these 8 modules. What specifically can families expect to gain from this journey?
So it's designed as a progressive journey.
Okay.
Starting with the first module, recognizing the path. And imagine this, you receive an Alzheimer's diagnosis, right?
Right.
It can feel like the ground has been pulled out from under you.
It's life-altering.
Yes.
And not just for the person who's diagnosed, but for the entire family.
Absolutely. So this first module is about grounding yourself, gaining a deeper understanding of the disease, and coming to terms with the diagnosis, both for the person with Alzheimer's and their family.
So facing the reality of the situation, but then also moving beyond that initial shock and fear.
Yes.
To find a path forward.
Yes, together.
Together, okay.
Precisely. And then it shifts into a module called Transformation Within, Unlocking Pain and Healing.
Okay.
Because, let's be honest, there's a tremendous amount of grief and emotional turmoil that comes with this disease.
Yeah, it's easy to get stuck in those feelings of anger and resentment.
Oh, absolutely.
And guilt even.
Yeah, and Rabbi Jizky doesn't shy away from that.
Right.
He provides these tools and guidance for transforming those painful emotions into sources of deeper love and connection.
Wow.
It's about shifting your perspective from a place of loss to a place of possibility.
It's like saying, okay, this is happening.
Right.
But it doesn't have to define us.
Right.
It doesn't have to destroy us.
Yes.
We can still find moments of joy, connection, love, even in the midst of this.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Right.
And it's not about denying the difficult emotions.
Right.
He guides families to acknowledge them, to process them, and ultimately to move through them
Right.
to a place of greater understanding and acceptance.
It sounds like he's providing a roadmap.
Yes.
For navigating the emotional landscape of Alzheimer's, which can often feel like, this impossible maze.
Absolutely.
So what comes next?
So the third module,
Yeah.
creating meaningful connections, association and dissociation. This delves into the complex world of communication in the face of cognitive decline.
Now, that's something I'm really curious about, because how do you stay connected when communication becomes so challenging?
Right.
That must be incredibly frustrating for both people.
It's one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this disease.
Yeah.
But Rabbi Jizky uses his own experiences and his understanding of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP for short, to help families navigate those communication breakdowns.
I've heard of NLP, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. Can you give us like a quick explanation?
Absolutely. NLP is a way of understanding how our thoughts, our language, and our behaviors all interact to create our experiences.
Okay.
And in the context of Alzheimer's, it can help families learn new ways to communicate effectively, even when, those traditional methods no longer work.
So it's really about adapting to those changes,
Yes.
Finding new ways to connect when words fail.
Right.
What kind of practical strategies does he offer?
He talks about using, clear, simple language, focusing on nonverbal cues, validating emotions rather than correcting facts, and creating a calm and supportive environment.
And these are all things that anyone can do,
Exactly.
even if you don't have a background in therapy or counseling.
Exactly. It's about empowering families with simple, practical tools they can use in their everyday lives.
Right.
And he doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The fourth module, Living the Miracle, Finding Meaning, is where the program takes a profoundly hopeful turn, I think.
I can't wait to hear more about this one. Because finding meaning in the midst of this experience, that must be incredibly empowering for families.
It is. He draws upon the principles of logotherapy, which is a form of therapy that emphasizes finding meaning in life, even in the face of suffering.
And how does he connect that to the experience of Alzheimer's?
He helps families identify sources of meaning that might have been overlooked or forgotten,
Right.
He encourages them to focus on the things that they can control, like their attitudes, their actions, and their responses to those challenging situations.
So instead of focusing on what's been lost, he's helping them find the meaning in the present moment.
Yes.
In the connection they still have.
Yes, exactly.
With their loved one.
He helps families see that even though Alzheimer's brings loss and hardship, it can also be an opportunity for profound growth, compassion, and love.
That's such a beautiful and unexpected perspective shift.
Yeah.
It's like he's taking this idea of a miracle and he's making it relevant, relatable, and achievable for families who are going through one of the toughest challenges that life can throw at you.
It's incredibly powerful, And he doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The program continues to build on these foundational principles, exploring even deeper themes like self-discovery, spiritual connection, and planning for the future.
So he's essentially providing this framework for not just surviving Alzheimer's, but for finding these moments of grace, and even transcendence within it.
Absolutely.
So what comes next in this 8-week journey?
Well, the fifth module is really interesting, I think, especially considering your earlier curiosity about that astro-Kabbalistic Nidal chart analysis.
Right.
This module is called Self-Knowledge, Understanding the Why.
Okay.
And this is where it really dives headfirst into this concept.
When I first saw that term, I have to admit, it sounded a bit intimidating.
Right.
Like something out of a mystical text or something.
It does have that air of ancient wisdom about it.
It does, yeah.
But in the context of this program, it becomes a tool for self-discovery, a way for both the caregiver and the person with Alzheimer's to explore their individual life paths and the deeper spiritual purpose behind their shared experience.
So it's like saying, okay, this disease is part of our story now.
Right.
What can we learn from it? What might it be revealing about ourselves and our purpose?
Exactly. And he doesn't just leave families to ponder these big questions on their own.
Right.
Rabbi Jizky guides them through the process using the framework of this ancient system to uncover these hidden meanings and this potential for growth within the challenges that they're facing.
It sounds like he's weaving together ancient wisdom with like modern therapeutic practices,
Yeah.
but in a way that feels both like profound and accessible at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that theme of connecting with something larger than oneself continues into the 6th module, connecting with the soul and the creator, the power of the Psalms.
It makes me think about how, when people are going through difficult times,
Yes.
they often turn to faith or spirituality for comfort.
Exactly. And in this module, he draws upon the power of these ancient Jewish mystical texts and practices, specifically the Psalms, to provide comfort, strength, and the sense of connection to something beyond the immediate circumstances.
Yeah, it's like tapping into this wellspring of strength and resilience we all have within us, but it often emerges during those times when we feel most vulnerable and lost.
Precisely. But again, he doesn't stop there.
Right.
Because, caregivers often neglect their own needs.
Of course. Yeah.
While they're caring for their loved ones. So the 7th module, future projection, planning beyond Alzheimer's, shifts the focus to the future.
That's huge because it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day demands of caregiving that you lose sight of your own well-being and your own aspirations.
You're absolutely right. And this module encourages caregivers to envision their lives beyond the disease, to reconnect with their own dreams and desires and to create a plan for their own well-being.
It's that reminder that self-care isn't selfish.
Right.
It's essential.
It's essential, yes.
And not just for the caregiver, but for everyone involved.
Precisely. And then, finally, the 8th module, art therapy, the power of creativity.
I like this one.
This taps into the healing power of art as a form of nonverbal communication and emotional expression.
I love that because art can be such a powerful outlet, right?
It is.
Especially when words fail.
Yeah.
And it allows, both the caregiver and the person with Alzheimer's to express themselves authentically and to connect on this deeper level.
It's about creating that space for shared experience and connection, even in the absence of traditional communication.
This program is truly a journey, it sounds like.
It is.
Of transformation and self-discovery.
Yeah, it goes far beyond that typical medical model of just managing symptoms.
Right. It really delves into the depths of human experience.
It does. And woven throughout all 8 of these modules is this central theme of shifting perspective, of seeing Alzheimer's not as a tragedy, but as this different way of being, a stage of life that while challenging, can also hold its own unique beauty and meaning.
It's about finding those glimmers of hope and grace in the most unexpected places.
Exactly. And that's what makes Rabbi Jizky's work so compelling. He's not offering these false promises or these easy answers.
Right.
He's guiding families on this journey of self-discovery, spiritual exploration, and profound connection.
Right.
Even in the face of a disease that often feels isolating and hopeless.
It's about recognizing that inherent dignity and worth of every single individual, regardless of their cognitive abilities.
Absolutely.
And finding ways to nurture love, connection, meaning even in the midst of loss.
That's it.
It's really remarkable. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this sense of awe and inspiration, really. It's clear that Rabbi Jizky's Miracle in the Heart program is this unique and invaluable resource for families who are navigating the complexities of Alzheimer's.
100%.
And if this topic resonated with you at all, I definitely encourage you to check it out.
Yes.
Explore Rabbi Jizky's work further. It's a journey worth taking.